Hey there, welcome to Sarah's YouTube channel. We're doing a series here on prayer, keeping it short, pithy, and relevant, extremely applicable. And we've talked a little bit about prayer being conversation, communication with God. And we've been looking at various Bible characters and kind of seeing what that looks like. And I want to take you to, and I love this, I want to take you to Moses in Exodus chapter 3 in the burning bush. Oh my goodness, this is probably one of my favorite, Moses stories, just because you see the raw, broken state in some respects of Moses. And there's this burning bush, and Moses, he's spent 40 years in Pharaoh's household getting trained and educated, super brilliant in all leadership stuff. And then, he kills this guy, this Egyptian slave master, and he has to run away, and he spends the next 40 years in the wilderness herding sheep. There's got to be a sharp contrast between the palace and the wilderness, education and sheep. Sheep are some of the stupidest animals on the planet. But it's interesting, after 80 years of all this stuff, it culminates with Moses in the wilderness herding these sheep, and there's a bush that's on fire, and the Bible says this, but it's not consumed. And that's really interesting to Moses, and he turns aside to check it out. What's going on here? And I love what happens here. If you look at Exodus chapter 3, verse 4, it says, "When the Lord saw that Moses turned aside to look, God called to him from the bush and said, 'Moses, Moses.'" And I love, this is really interesting, and something for you to think about with prayer. God didn't start talking to Moses until Moses turned aside and God saw that Moses was paying attention. Sometimes I think that if you're like me, I get a little frustrated. I'm like, God, I don't feel like you're talking to me. You ever said that? Oh, God, I can't hear you. I'm not sensing you talking to me. I'm not, what's going on here? And I really think that one of the key things for hearing God and sensing God and that communication back and forth is paying attention. Take some time, and when God knows that you're paying attention, then God will talk with you. I see that with my kids. I see that, and I've seen that with myself and with my husband and all kinds of relationships. If I don't feel like the person is listening to me or paying attention, then I'm just going to stop talking, because what's the point? It's just kind of, like words in the air. Not conversation, not communication. And I think the same is true with God. God says, I do want to talk with you, and I do want to have communication, but I want your attention before I start talking with you. So maybe this is a good wake-up call to think about some ways to pay attention. How can we pay attention to God? And I would say, number one, ask God, please give me an attentive heart. Give me hearing ears, seeing eyes, a sensitive heart to pay attention to you. And give me the desire. Sometimes we don't even have the desire, but we can ask God, give me that desire, please, because I do want to hear your voice. I do want to sense you talking with me. And then write it down. Make it a priority. When you sense God speaking to you or leading you, then it's noteworthy and facilitate and make that important and essential. And I believe that as we prioritize God's voice and hearing God, then we'll sense and hear God even more. Because what I find is the more somebody listens to me, the more I want to talk. The more somebody knows that I'm listening to them, the more they talk. And I think the same would be true with God. That the more God knows that we're paying attention and want God's presence and conversation in our life, then the more God talks with us. So I just encourage you, a really great lesson from Exodus 3 verse 4 about paying attention and listening to God and being attentive, making that a priority for our prayer life and growing in our prayer life with God. So as we finish today, I'm going to give you a joke. Of course, you want to subscribe at the bottom because this is a really great channel. And, oh my goodness, God's going to totally talk with you, short and relevant for your daily living. But here's your joke for today. If you're looking for a church, be sure to look for one that is prayer conditioned. I know, pretty cheesy, but fun nonetheless. Thanks so much. Catch you next week on Sarah's YouTube channel. Thank you.